morning, everybody. Sam here, United People's TV, Wednesday, the 12th of January. And we're here with what I think is the first actual conversation about transfers that we're probably having in January. Obviously, I've been wiped out at the start of it, but it's been a bit quiet so far, hasn't it? With everything that's going on with Ralph Rangnick, with the players, with the squad, with the lack of confidence, with the lack of good football, we haven't really had any space or time to talk about January signings. The conversations have just been pretty depressing, I'll be completely honest. But here today, we're talking about Denis Zakaria, the 25-year-old Borussia Mönchengladbach. Has to be from the hardest bloody German team to say. Borussia Mönchengladbach, defensive midfielder, who is available on a free transfer in the summer. This is not the first conversation we're going to be having about Denis Zakaria, because he's been one of the names on the list alongside Frank Kessie, the AC Milan midfielder who's available on a free in the summer. Alongside the list that includes Ruben Neves and all the other midfielders that we've been linked with. But today we're speaking about Denis Zakaria after growing reports. They've been murmuring for a few days, bubbling under the surface. I haven't said anything on them because at that point, it's just all pure speculation and nothing else. But look, good morning to all. Darren, I can see you here. Nice to see you there this morning, buddy. Paula, I can see you there. Peter, I can see you there. Members galore down there. Klein, you're there as well. Fred, you're there. Anthony, and you're there as well. Good morning to all of you. Josh as well, too. Hope you're all doing good. Let's get straight into this one, eh? There's absolutely no need to waste any time. Now, Denis Zakaria, as I said, the reason why this, I believe, is getting a bit more pace, is gathering pace, is the fact that Zakaria is available on a free transfer in the summer. Borussia Mönchengladbach, if they want to get any money for Zakaria, who has been a very important player inside their team, they're going to have to sell him in the January transfer window. Now, what are the reports saying? Are they reliable, Sam? That's the question you're going to be asking yourselves. They're coming from Konstantin Eckner, who is considered quite a reliable voice from the German side of things. Now, he is saying that Manchester United are in talks with Zakaria's side over a move in January, but Gladbach haven't yet received an offer for him. So you'll remember that there were reports coming yesterday, day before. People got a bit excited, trying to say that Manchester United had made a bid for Zakaria. That isn't the case so far. And if we go over to the man himself, and that's Fabrizio Romano, what's he saying about it? He said this yesterday, by the way. This isn't a brand new update. This is what he said yesterday, after reports came out suggesting that Manchester United had made a bid for him. So Man United have made no bid for Zakaria as things stand. The option has been discussed as he's appreciated by Rangnick, but there's still no official bid to Borussia Dortmund. More than 4 clubs are already working to sign Zakaria as a free agent in July. He's very much going to be a man in demand, isn't he? Because he's going to be available on a free transfer, because he is a very established defensive midfielder, not a central midfielder, not a box-to-box player, really. He is a defensive midfielder. And what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to be running through a few stats on his career. What position has he played for Borussia Mönchengladbach? And also, who did he play for out in Switzerland? Was it Young Boys? Let's have a look. I can't remember who he played for. But anyway, he played out in the Swiss League. It was Young Boys. Yeah, before he moved to Borussia Mönchengladbach. We're going to take a look at the position he's played. We're going to take a look at his overall stats. What's he good at? You know, in terms of his pressing, in terms of his interceptions, in terms of his blocks. What sort of midfielder is he? And also going to take a look at the formation of where Zakaria could fit inside this team, because it's really interesting to do these sorts of things. I can see down here, Thomas, you've been a member for 6 months. Big up to you, Thomas. He's been working very hard. Thomas has. So therefore, he hasn't been here much, but Thomas, a proper UPTV legend, just like all of you down here. Craig, good morning to you as well. Hope you're all doing good. Something I will say quickly before we do get into this. I won't be here for the next couple of days. Unfortunately, I've got to fly to Ireland for a funeral. Slightly unexpected. But yeah, I won't be here for the live videos for the next 2 days, but I'm going to try and get some more of it. I'm going to hopefully do a full story video on Denis Zakaria. I'm going to try and get recorded before I've got to leave for the airport this afternoon. I've got to leave pretty soon after this. But yeah, when life comes at you, it comes at you fast. Just remember that, ladies and gents. That's my advice to you. But Denis Zakaria, as I said, these reports are coming in. They're everywhere, really. If we go to thepeoplesperson.com, which obviously you all read, obviously it's your go-to place for Manchester United transfer news. I mean, I don't know how to tell you that. Yeah, this is what Fabrizio said on his own podcast, and this was yesterday afternoon. So Manchester United have had contacts with the agents of Denis Zakaria in the beginning of December. Rangnick knows him very well for a long time, but nothing is advanced at the moment. Many clubs are in for him, but he is on United's list. So right now we're interested FC. Right now there's no major push for Denis Zakaria, but he's somebody who is on our list. So as I said, what we're going to do here in this stream, we're going to take a look at his stats. What sort of midfielder is he? Because we all know, right? We need to sign a midfielder who has natural defensive attributes. We've got Scott McTominay, who's more of a box-to-box midfielder. He's better when he's allowed to go forward. Fred, same thing applies to him. Nemanja Matic, the only player really inside our squad who has those natural defensive attributes. Donny van der Beek, he's never really been given a chance as a double pivot, and that must be because he just does not suit it. And he's not a defensive midfielder either. So therefore, we kind of need a defensive midfielder. But what sort of player is he? This is his scouting report over on fbref.com. And what this does and what these numbers mean, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the percentile, the higher that is, the better he is inside that position compared to other midfielders. So if we were to go over here quickly, now doing this might annoy quite a few of you actually, because if we look at players who he is similar to, look who's number 1 on that list. Scott McTominay, which doesn't really strike me as the sort of midfielder that we need. But look, Frank Kesse's on that list as well. Declan Rice is second on that list. So what they're basically saying is although he might be down as a defensive midfielder, he goes forward a bit. And if you look at his stats here, you can see exactly why they're suggesting that he is like McTominay and why he is like Declan Rice. Non-penalty goals, the goals that he scores that aren't to do with set piece. Look, he's in the top 25% of midfielders. We go down here, though, pass completion. He's a man who holds possession in the top 7% of midfielders when it comes to pass completion. So that's something that could be very, very important to Manchester United. We need somebody who simply is good with the ball at his feet, at retaining possession. And why is that? Because possession equals control inside that defensive midfield role. I said yesterday that possession doesn't mean control because overall on the pitch, it doesn't. But possession inside that defensive midfield role, it's vital. So yeah, he's in the top 7% there, nearly top 10% for dribbles completed. But look, he's not someone who's going to progressively bring the ball up the pitch. He's not like a Frankie de Jong, for example, would be in the top 10% for that. Progressive carries, he's not good at that either. We scroll down here, and I would say this would definitely be a concern. Look at that. He's in the bottom 10% for pressing. Now, is that because of how Borussia Mönchengladbach play? Maybe. But in terms of pressing, it's not his natural game. But look at these. He's in the top 10% for blocks, and he's in the top 15% for interceptions. So he is a person who doesn't really, according to these stats, if we're looking at his overall game style, he's not a player who's going to press, who's going to be one of those incessant defensive midfielders, more like a Kante. He's more like, I would probably put it down to like Carrick when he dropped into a defensive midfield role. Carrick wasn't somebody who pressed the ball massively because he was smarter than that. You don't have to press the ball when you can intercept and block it. When you can block the passing lanes, you don't have to run at the player. It's a different type of being a defensive midfielder. Some are busy, some are less busy. By the stats, according to what he's saying there, he's a little bit less busy. He's more somebody who operates and puts himself in the right positions rather than presses. Let's go down here and let's see what you're saying. And I saw that you're saying that you're worried about his pressing stats. I think that would be fair, but it would depend on where. And in that sense, right, when it comes to pressing under Ralph Rangnick, if Manchester United operate on a high press, it means that you don't have to do a mid press. You don't have to do a deep press. And therefore, the defensive midfielder doesn't necessarily have to press, because if you're pressing high up the pitch, that's where the energy and the intensity is going to be in the final third, from Rashford, from Greenwood, from Sancho, from Cavani, from anybody up there. That's where the press is going to be. And therefore, it doesn't really matter too much if the defensive midfielder doesn't press, as long as he's good with interception. But tackles, I would say I'll be worried about that. His tackles are down in the bottom 20%. So he's not somebody who really goes at a player. He's somebody who covers the right spaces. Different sort of midfielder. Let me go down to the let me go down and see what you're saying. Victor, you're saying Neves would be better. Why are United linked to this Zakaria? That's quite a simple thing here, and this isn't really being cynical. It's probably the truth. Manchester United are taking the cheaper option here by not going after Ruben Neves, and maybe Ruben Neves has never been number one on our list, and that's why we haven't gone after him. But Ruben Neves would cost in the region of 50 million plus right now in January. Denis Zakaria, because he's available on a free transfer in the summer, the price tag getting linked with him, you're looking at around about 10 million euros, 10 million, 10, 15 million euros for a 25-year-old who is established inside the Bundesliga as a defensive midfielder. It's extremely cheap, extremely cheap. Exactly as I was saying there, it's because he's cheap. Look, what do you think about this, by the way? I made all this. I didn't make all this. Got the yellow lights on, the little transfer show. It's all ready. It's all prepped for when United actually, I don't know, make some movements when it comes to signings. It would be nice if we could do something, because we all know that, I've said this before, the conversations this week have all been about what are the problems at Manchester United? What's the problems with the mentality? Where can we improve X, Y, Z? That's the talking point right now. And we went in depth yesterday to discuss that. But Man United, if we did sign a player like Zakaria in January, our squad would be better. We would have better overall balance. That's what I think anyway. Takeoff, what are you doing here? Doesn't look good. Everything looks good on me, man. Jeez, everything looks good on me. What are you talking about there? Denis Zakaria. Right, let's head over here. This is important as well. So we've taken a look at what sort of player he is. By the way, for all of you and for anybody who's not here, I'm gonna do a full story on Zakaria, including all these stats and everything in a shorter video, because not everybody can join in these live videos. So I like to do videos that everybody can watch. I've been on Facebook. You're saying that Ruben Neves is the best option for him. Hey, look, Ruben Neves. You all know what I think about Ruben Neves, man. We don't need to talk about Ruben Neves anymore, because I'm just going to get upset for the fact that we're not going after him. But yeah, I think all might be right. This might just simply be taking the cheaper option. And maybe that's a case of Manchester United don't want to give an interim manager 50, 60 million to spend on a player, which might then be a player who's not wanted when the new manager comes around in the summer. And you kind of understand that, right? We spent plenty in the summer. We got Varane, we got Sancho, we got Ronaldo. It's not as if we skimped in the summer. We just decided to not sign that defensive midfielder who we all knew was crucial to making Manchester United a solid team again. But I kind of understand the concept that we wouldn't give an interim manager 50 million plus to spend on one player who then might not be part of the plans only 6 months down the line. You can understand that a little bit. Marcelina, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you here, as always. You're saying I would avoid Rice, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, examples of overpriced English players that haven't come up to par. Zakaria is cheap, and if he isn't that good, he's 20 mil. One thing I would like to speak about there, you mentioned it there, is Declan Rice. I've been really, really impressed with Declan Rice this season, and I think we all have to give him credit. After the Euros, the English players, there's only a couple, and Declan Rice is definitely the best example, who actually came back into the season and did well. Maguire and Shaw, we've seen the fall off from both of them. Harry Kane, well, we know what happened with him at the start of the season. It took him ages because he was pushing for that move to City. Declan Rice has really come on this season. Really, really impressive. And something that I didn't really know was part of his game, Declan Rice is his ability to bring the ball forward is fantastic. Really is, like bursting from midfield, breaking the lines and coming through. He's done really, really well. And I can understand the hype around him. Do I think he's worth 100 million? No, I don't. But when it comes to English players in the Premier League, and you got the English tax, the Premier League tax, and the Manchester United tax, all of them add 10 million on each. So therefore, Rice is going to be 80, 90, 100. He's going to be more now than he was last season. I think he's improved as a player. I don't think we're going to go anywhere near him. I said this at the start of the season. I said if West Ham had a bad start to the year and they got knocked out of the Europa League, I think we could have a conversation about Declan Rice in January. They've done anything but that. David Moyes is doing a great job there. As much as it hurts me to say it, he's doing a great job there. Declan Rice has improved West Ham in the knockouts of the Europa League, and they've done it comfortably. They look good. They look good in the Premier League as well. Rice is going nowhere in January. Rice might be a conversation that we have again in the summer, but given that we wouldn't pay for him last year, I don't know why we go in for him next year when he's probably going to be more money. Is what it is. But Rice would be a great signing. And now that's what I think about Declan Rice. I think he'd be a great signing. My opinion on him has changed because and I keep saying this to people, man. There's nothing wrong with a changed opinion. If you change your opinion, it means you've taken more evidence in and you say, right, okay, I might have been wrong with what I was saying before. And that's a big thing to be able to do, to be able to admit that you're wrong and say, okay, no, I didn't give him enough credit, X, Y. And that's what happens when more evidence is presented. But yeah, no one can deny he's going to be overpriced. So I don't think Declan Rice is a conversation we're having in January. Zakaria is because of his price. If Zakaria had a 4-year contract, with Borussia Mönchengladbach, we wouldn't have these conversations in January. Simple as that. But because he's available on a free transfer in the summer, these conversations are being had. Where does Zakaria play? Where has he played in his career? That's another question here. Let's go down. He's played just over 200 times. Have a look. He's played 250 times in his career. That doesn't count out. That makes 220. Anyway, look, he's played 152 times as a defensive midfielder. He's played 47 games as a central midfielder, and he's operated as a centre back sometimes on occasions. And randomly, he got one game as a right winger. That's a bit random. But yeah, central midfield and defensive midfield. Overall, 200 appearances he's had in those positions. That is where he plays. So, and I've said this to you before, and I'll say it again. It's like United, a stone going into a supermarket, and every single midfielder seems good. You can be like, oh yeah, he could improve us. He can improve us. And Denis Zakaria clearly could improve Manchester United in a position inside our squad which is weak. We need people who can operate inside that defensive midfield role, and Denis Zakaria is definitely a player who could do that. So what we're going to do now, we're going to head over to the tactics board. We're going to take a look at Denis Zakaria. Where could he actually fit inside this team? I don't know. Thomas, you coming with a super chat here, buddy. Nice to see you. As I said, Thomas, we missed you here. We missed everybody here. Zam, I would love Zakaria in January and Kessie in the summer, but it's so much quality on a free summer this summer. It's madness. By the way, love the trust video. Thank you very much. Anybody who hasn't seen it, I did a video yesterday, which didn't go down very well. I was kind of surprised. I thought people wanted to talk about that, but lo and behold, I was wrong. Where I took a look at every single position, every single player inside the squad. And I said whether or not Ralf Rangnick and fans could trust him at the moment. Yeah, and I felt like it was quite an important video to do because clearly the problems are deeper than we give them credit for at Manchester United. It's not just about the wrong starting 11. It's not just about the wrong formation. It's not even just about the wrong or right manager. There's bigger problems inside this Manchester United squad. And I think it's coming down to individuals, cliques, and wrong attitudes. And that's why I did that video, taking a look at who Rangnick and fans can trust to put in the performances that we need to see, because we have to go back to basics right now. A squad of this quality shouldn't be talking about these things. But lo and behold, we're doing that at Manchester United. That's where we are as a club. But look, let's head over to the tactics board here and let's have a conversation about where Zakaria fits in. Shadow Fox here, you're saying how Haidara is so much better and more. Haidara is a player who I could see fitting a Ralf Rangnick system far easier than Zakaria, simply because he's got that natural pressing game, more of a box. Haidara's got more to his all-round game. I would say Zakaria might be more of a disciplined defensive midfielder. And maybe that's what we need, eh? Maybe that's what we need. Ron Williams, I was watching the trust video, but stopped to jump on the live. Well, you know we can go back to after that, buddy. But look, let's head over to the tactics board and let's discuss this. You've got Denis Zakaria. I think, is this? No, I don't know what team I've got here. Let's put Sancho over there. Let's put my 11 that I'd like to see. There you go. Maybe not Maguire. Maguire can stay there. Sod it. Look, here you go. You got Zakaria down here. Up here, sorry. You've got McTominay and Fred in midfield. What formation do you think that Manchester United would operate if we signed Denis Zakaria? Because you could do a variety of things. Let's take that yellow one off. You probably go, let's say we took McTominay out and we played Zakaria there. In fact, no, let's not take McTominay out at all. I'd say let's take Sancho out. Maybe Sancho. I don't really know. You could do this. You could do the formation. I think that Manchester United fans that we were always wanted to see. and that we haven't seen just yet. I don't really know where Bruno fits inside this formation, but apparently he's going to go left wing. You could do that. You could do a proper 4-3-3. Maybe take Cavani off there. Maybe put Sancho there. Get Cavani down here. You could operate that formation. What do you think about that, ladies and gents? Would you like to see Manchester United operating like that? I think 4-3-3 was a formation that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was always working towards. I remember having these conversations quite a lot with you. But we never had that player. We never had that, whether that was Zakaria, whether that was anybody, we never had that player who could operate that defensive midfield role on his own. And like I said in the video yesterday, what Manchester United need in a January transfer signing is somebody who effectively stays inside that yellow circle. Doesn't move away from it, just operates, I don't know, like a patrolling body, like a patrolling guard at night. We just need somebody who can stay inside that zone and just make it his own. Make sure that nobody comes past. So technically, we don't really need someone who's massively aggressively pressing up there, who's pressing out there, who's pressing. We need someone who's doing like a bit of a zonal positioning and just staying there. And by doing that, you're probably going to get more from McTominay and Fred. By doing that, you allow someone like Van der Beek to play in a better position, if that was to happen, which it never is going to happen, apparently. I don't really know why he's not getting used, but it is what it is. Van der Beek could be good there. Or if we're being completely honest, right, maybe that could be an excellent position for Bruno Fernandes. And maybe that would then allow you to play with two proper natural width players in Sancho and Rashford. Ronaldo's going to find himself very isolated, though. I wouldn't say this formation helps Ronaldo, but it certainly helps midfield. If you're looking at controlling midfield, I would argue you're going to get a lot more control out of that midfield than you would from our midfield. Because control's the buzzword, right? Control's the buzzword. You're saying Zakaria's dribbling stats indicate he isn't the man for that job. Van der who? No, like, exactly. Zakaria is not going to be that player. As I said, if we go back and we look at his stats here, his dribbles completed, I suppose, yeah. He's very, very good at dribbling, but he's very good at pass completion. That's the most important thing. Pass completion, interceptions, and blocks means that Denis Zakaria could simply sit in this position, block the passing lanes, not really going to be going too aggressive on the tackles, not really going to be going too aggressive on the press, block the passing lanes, win the ball back, and simply feed it to McTominay or Bruno or whoever's operating in front of him. That would be his job, winning the ball back and feeding someone else. That's kind of what we need. But yeah, let me go down here. Liam, comment from you on the video yesterday saying, you said Henderson couldn't be trusted yesterday, but could he trust the club anymore? Trust works both ways. After that, I turned the video off. Well, that's good. Of course, trust works both ways. And that's what I mean. I think if Manchester United, if Henderson has knocked on the door of Ralph Rangnick and said, I would like to leave on loan in January, and Manchester United and Ralph Rangnick said, no, I want you to stay at the club, there's something broken there. And therefore, I don't think we could trust Dean Henderson anymore because we've broken the trust. If Dean Henderson has come to the club and says, look, I would like to play game time, I feel like I'm good enough to be playing week in, week out. I don't want to sit on the bench. And Dean Henderson is at that point in his career where he doesn't want to sit on the bench. I understand that completely. Yeah, trust does work both ways. But if we haven't broken the trust by saying that he can't move, but we've changed the relationship. And therefore, could we expect Dean Henderson to be utterly committed in training? And we'll say no. And I would understand why, because he's asked for a move and we haven't given it to him. So that's why I said, I said that there. Mickey, you're saying Rice would be my number one target in the summer. It depends what goes on in the summer. I think Manchester United are really going to be looking out for a striker in the summer. Haaland's obviously going to be heavily linked, but I think he's probably going to go City. I think we should probably move away from that. But we need a midfielder, man. We need a midfielder. It blows my mind. Truly blows my mind how much money Manchester United have spent in the transfer windows over the last 5, 6, 7 years, and how little we've invested inside our central midfield. We've signed wingers, we've signed strikers, we've signed attacking midfielders galore, but we've never really signed. Donny van der Beek is the only real central midfield signing that we've had, and we've not played him. So Zakaria would be a bit of fresh air, a bit of fresh air, also a bit of fresh air, but a breath of fresh air. So you could see Manchester United operating like that. If you're going to say, right, okay, Sam, maybe you won't do that. Maybe it will just be a case of Zakaria coming in for either Fred or McTominay. And therefore, Manchester United will stick, you stupid circle. Manchester United will stick with the 4-2-2. And whether that's Rashford up front, whether that's Cavani up front, it's kind of irrelevant. What do you think about this? Do you think that could work? Because Zakaria, as I said, if we go back to his stats, he's somebody who can dribble the ball at his feet. He's very good with pass completion. That's his game. He's a defensive midfielder, 152 appearances in defensive midfield. Could he operate inside that position? He definitely could operate inside that position. Comment here from Harrietta saying, what about a defensive midfield replacement for Matic? Now, Harrietta, I would like that to be probably the number one signing that we make in the summer. It should be a case of moving Nemanja Matic on and bringing in someone who's 5, 6, 7, 8 years younger than Matic that does what Matic did in his prime. Matic was great. Matic, when he came back to Chelsea inside that role, a superb player, man. And he has had superb performances, and he loves a good purple patch, doesn't Nemanja Matic? Plays great for like 2, 3 games. You think, Jesus Christ, he's good again. And then he kind of disappears. But he's just too old, and we know that. And regardless, even if you ignore Matic, the conversation about the defensive midfield is the most important conversation anyway. So I would argue we need two proper central defensive midfield signings in the summer. That's where you're going to change the fortunes of this whole Manchester United team. That's where all the balance gets thrown out. It's all inside that defensive and central midfield positions. In an ideal world, Manchester United will let Juan Mata go. Manchester United will let Jesse Lingard go. Paul Pogba go. Nemanja Matic go. Dean Henderson out on loan. I don't know. You could do that if you want. But there's so much opportunity for Manchester United to free up wages inside a bloated squad with positions and players that we just don't use, to then reinvest that money inside positions that we desperately need to strengthen. And that's defensive and central midfield. And that is with Denis Zakaria. So look, what I'll do is I'll move on to another conversation, the talking point. It's kind of caught me by surprise. But look, Denis Zakaria, I'm going to be covering these rumors in a full story look at Denis Zakaria. I'm going to put that out later today, hopefully. If I can, I'll record. Shade is throwing some shade here, saying, are you not tired of sounding like a broken record? Yeah, man, I absolutely am. I wish Manchester United were actually pushing to sign a defensive midfielder properly in January. It looks like it's going to be Denis Zakaria, according to the latest reports coming out from Germany, because there's been nothing on Ruben Neves. There's been nothing on any other midfielder. Frank Kessie, for example. I'm a bit surprised that Manchester United aren't at least having conversations about it. Because as I said to you, I think early this season, the free transfer 11 that's going to be available this summer is insane. It's like Paul Pogba, Kylian Mbappe. I don't know who else is there, but there are so many players on that list. And Frank Kessie is definitely one of them. So I'll be surprised there. Victor saying, Sam, any news on United selling and outs Lingard, Martial? Now, one here that we've got that's a bit of a surprise. This kind of came out of nowhere yesterday. Fabrizio Romano on Eric Bailly. AC Milan are working to sign a new centre-back. Eric Bailly is one of the names on that list. That is what Fabrizio Romano is saying. What's your opinion on that? You think there's any chance that Manchester United were going to be selling Eric Bailly? I didn't think there would be, but maybe there is. Yeah, nothing is advanced just yet, and he's only a name on the list of AC Milan. So it's not as if Manchester United are having talks X, Y, Z. But Eric Bailly, do you think there's any chance that Manchester United let Eric Bailly go? You let me know in the comments below, and I will read some of your comments out. I can see quite a few of you are mentioning Yves Bissouma. Now, Yves Bissouma is obviously somebody who is highly rated. Brighton's midfielder. He's a good player, man. He's a very, very good player. His contract runs out not this summer, next summer. Is he? I think he might be out in the African Cup of Nations at the moment, isn't he? Yeah, I think he is. By the way, Hannibal and Tunisia are playing today. So if anybody wants to watch Hannibal play for Tunisia, you should tune into that. Eric Bailly. Eric Bailly is also in action with Ivory Coast. And you're saying, boom, you want Bailly, we want Kessie and Hernandez, please. Thank you very much. That'll be a decent deal. Eric Bailly, man. Eric Bailly is a player I love watching play, right? I really, really do. But if you're looking at, can I trust Eric Bailly? Can I trust Eric Bailly's body? It's a bit like Phil Jones. I don't think you can. Not that I can't trust the player, but I mean, he's a bit of a hothead. But I like Bailly. I really like Bailly. I don't really want to say a bad word against Bailly. I think when he plays, he's probably full tilt. When he plays well, he's fantastic. His recovery tackles, I can't remember seeing a centre back better than that at Manchester United in a long time. When his timing is spot on. But Eric Bailly, a bit like Phil Jones, he's a little bit too injury prone. Just when he's having a great run of games, he's going to come up with an injury and he'll be like, it's happening again. It's happening again. But yeah, Eric Bailly sort of caught me by surprise there. Let me see what you're saying about this in the comments. How can you play Lindelof or Maguire over Bailly? Says Times End, it blows my mind. Yeah, when Bailly plays good, Bailly plays great. I understand that. Nigel, you're saying Bailly is the best defender. He is brilliant. He's injured a lot. He is injured a lot. Let's go down here. Keep Bailly, sell Lindelof, says Tom. I said in my video yesterday, it's probably the one I got most criticism for. I said that Lindelof wasn't a player that could be particularly trusted right now by Radnick. And I'm judging that on performances I'm seeing at the moment when our backs are against the wall, who is delivering, who is coming through. And I don't think right now that Victor Lindelof is, even if he had some good form under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the start of the season. But look, I don't personally think Manchester United are going to be letting Eric Bailly go. I'd be surprised by it. I don't think we can afford to. It's not as if we're littered with top quality centre backs. Hell, man, we played Phil Jones against Wolves in the Premier League. His first Premier League appearance in 2 years because Varane wasn't fit. No, Varane was fit. Sorry, Maguire wasn't fit and Lindelof weren't fit. We're not in a position right now to be selling centre backs. So I don't think there's any chance that he goes to AC Milan. That's my opinion anyway. We've got Mika here saying, what's the story on Haidara? Now, Mika, I wish that there was more of a story on Haidara. I did a full story look at all the reports when they came out. Was it last month? I think it was last month. But as it stands, there's not been anything that's going advanced with Haidara, which it surprised me a little bit because, as I said, I think if Ralph Rangnick was able to make a signing in the January transfer window, he's going to sign somebody that he knows will help with this system he's trying to implement. And that's why Amadou Haidara would have made sense because he's come through Salzburg, comes through Leipzig. He knows the Red Bull way. And Ralph knows that he could come in and just be like his midfield general, the player that he could rely on the pitch to be telling players what to do, to be telling players where to go. Could basically be Ralph Rangnick's general on the pitch, someone who can relay the instructions. That's what he needs because too often these players don't really look like they know exactly what they're doing. And that's why I thought that Haidara would have made sense. But as it stands, there's nothing going advanced on that. The story around a defensive midfielder is, as I said, around Denis Zakaria, with Konstantin Ekner saying that Manchester United are in talks, but they haven't put in an offer just yet. Type yes or no, by the way, in the comments. Would you like Manchester United to sign Zakaria in January, or would you like us to sign someone else? Who is it? Zakaria? Is it Kessie? Is it Yves Bissouma? Who would you a realistic signing? Let's not go out and say Kante because there's no chance we're going to get Kante. I think there will be a chance we could get Bissouma if we went in with the right offer. I think there's a chance we could get Zakaria with the right offer. There's a chance for Neves with the right offer. Who would you want in January? Let me see what you're saying in the comments here. Manoa, you want Bissouma. You're not the only one who wants Bissouma, that's for sure. Olatunde, you're saying Neves. Zainboy, you're saying... Oh, Anthony, you're saying Neves as well. Dennis, for now, says Huts. Chouameni's name's coming back up as well. Who else? Bissouma, says Ant. Don't sit on the fence, my friend. You got Kessie and Haidara. I think Manchester United need definitely need two central midfielders in the summer. Whether it's now or whether it's in the summer. Ideally, you get one now and you get one in the summer, right? We need big reinforcements in central midfield. It's not like we just need one signing. It's not like Zakaria or Neves or Bissouma. They could all come in and solve our problems. Our squad is so thin in that area. that we, I think, need 2 signings. Why is nobody talking about Milinkovic-Savic? Of course, Milinkovic-Savic, Lazio, I think he is. Manchester United, we linked with him before. Obviously, his brother. Remember, I think his brother's the goalkeeper who never played for us, who joined and then left. If I remember correctly, went back to Serbia. It was all a bit weird. I remember that. Very, very odd. But look, I would love for United to get any central midfield signing in January. We need one. Whether that's Zakaria, I could see the benefits and the pros of Zakaria. I could see the cons of Zakaria. Bissouma, the same applies to them all. Manchester United, we need somebody. Whether that's Frank Kessie, we need someone. Surely we can't. I mean, we can. We absolutely can. But surely we can't go through January without signing one. New signings are not the answers to Manchester United's problems right now. But when it comes to balance inside this squad, it's just we are Bagel FC, man. I've said it so many times, but it's so abundantly obvious. We need that defensive midfield signing, that central midfield signing. Like I'll make this one a bit of a shorter stream because, as I said, I've got to shoot to the airport. As I said, there won't be a morning live stream on Thursday or Friday, but I'm hopefully going to have a full story on Zakaria that's coming out later today. I'm going to record my predicted 11 for the Villa game, get that out on Thursday. So maybe Friday there won't be a video. And the match reaction won't be in the usual place. I don't know where I'm going to be. But there will be a match reaction on Saturday night. But look, anybody got any questions you want to ask me at the end of the stream, please fire them in, man. I'll always answer them. As I said, I try to make this genuinely an actually interactive show. People say there's an interactive, but I make it interactive. Paul, how you doing, buddy? What do you think about Harry Kane? There's no doubt that Harry Kane has been one of the best, if not the best, striker in the Premier League for years now. But I would in no way, shape or form pay the money that Spurs would demand for Harry Kane. No, I think Manchester United have got bigger problems. I would much rather we spent 50 million on 2 central midfielders than 100 million on Harry Kane, for example. And I think Harry Kane will cost at least 100 mil, even if he hasn't had the best time. But and there, Bissouma and Kessie would cost Manchester, because Kessie's available on a free, you're looking at probably 30 million for both of them. Now that would suit Manchester United so much more than signing Harry Kane. And JS, you're not wrong. We do need a new striker, but we need more midfielders. We need to make multiple midfield signings, and that's without letting Nemanja Matic go. I don't know. Maybe he will be sold. But look, I'll wrap this one up today. It's a quiet one, but it's quiet right now. It's the 12th of January. Manchester United haven't made any real massive advances to sign anybody. We're in talks to sign Zakaria. It's the first bit of news that we've had. I'm going to follow this video up with a full story look at that. As I said, I'm going to have my predicted 11 for the Villa game out tomorrow. But United need to start winning games. It's muted around the club at the moment because Manchester United are just a muted football team. Watching us play, man, it's painful to watch us play. We need to change that with Villa. We need to change that with performances, right? And that has to start with Villa. For goodness, I said that had to start with Villa in the FA Cup, and it didn't. But look, thank you very much for all joining me this morning. As I said, quite a quiet stream. But look, I hope you like the new transfer look and the transfer setup that I'm going to use throughout the rest of January, if or when Manchester United actually pull the finger out and start, I don't know, looking at signing players. But thank you very much for joining in as always. If you are new here, please consider dropping a like on the video. It does help. And subscribe to United People's TV if you're new. But make sure you please check out the Zakaria full story video that will go out later today. And make sure you check out my video I did yesterday on the full squad. Who can Rangnick trust? Take it easy, everybody. Have a cracking Wednesday.